Wow. President Biden last night appearing to call for Israel to hit pause on its ground invasion following Hamas's release of 2 American hostages.
Come on, we shouldn't be asking that guy questions while he's all walking up the stairs.
We can't do 2 things.
Come on. But the White
true.
House immediately, of course, walking back the remarks, saying, quote, the president was far away. He didn't hear the question. The question sounded like, would you like to see more hostages released? He wasn't commenting on anything else.
And here with his comment, GOP Congressman and member of the House Armed Services and Foreign Affairs Committee and a friend of our show, Representative Michael Waltz. Congressman, what are your thoughts on that? And how dangerous is it to have a president who's walking back, pretty significant information? This is not the first time that's happened.
No, it's not. And at a time when the entire world needs to see strength, needs to see clarity, the American people need to understand what the vision is and how the commander-in-chief, whose #1 job is to keep us safe, how all of that's going to occur is when we should have our commander-in-chief front and center on a daily, if not multiple times a day basis. And yet they're going to have to shuffle him onto the plane, maybe up the short steps, I don't know, as fast as possible. And yeah, this is why we just can't get to November of 2024 soon enough. We need to get President Trump back in. This wouldn't be happening in the first place. If he were there, certainly would know where he stands and where America stands. And I guarantee you, no one in the White House will be having to adjust and bob and weave on what President Trump would be putting out to the world.
Congressman, aside from the fact that we're kind of talking right now about an elderly president who can't walk and chew gum, or at least walk and answer a question at the same time, it's a little bit lighthearted in the sense. I actually accept his explanation. Is far away, he couldn't hear the question. But the question itself is really the topic. Do you think that the U.S. is pressuring Israel to hold back from the ground invasion they have planned because the U.S., maybe through Qatar or other channels, is trying to negotiate for hostages? If so, is that a good strategy?
Well, we also could be talking through the Egyptians, who are a historic mediator between Hamas and Israel. Look, I think I hate it, but I think it's also a valid strategy. The last time the Israelis negotiated out several of their soldiers that were being held hostage, they released, almost 1,000 Palestinians out of prison. So again, I don't like it one bit, but we need to get as many Americans out of that and out of those tunnels as possible. Joey, Pete knows, once you get down in those tunnels, you don't have communications, you don't have GPS. Oftentimes you can't even carry a rifle. It might be pistol, hand-to-hand only, and they know everywhere that they are. It's just an awful situation. They could flood them, they could booby trap them, and they could take our soldiers or Israeli soldiers' lives along with the hostages, and they couldn't care less.
All right, Colonel, let's come back here, come back home for a second. Help us out. What's happening in the Republican conference on the House of Representatives? We see now Jim Jordan's name has dropped. Where does this go? I'm confused. We're all confused. What happens next?
Well, and I can tell you, we're all frustrated. Clearly the 8 that set us down this road didn't have a plan, didn't have a strategy. I fully supported Jim Jordan. I was very disappointed to see him voted. To see the way the conference voted in terms of for him not to continue. I thought he was the only one.
Why was there such an about-face in the private vote against him?
Yeah, well, I think there were those who were absolutely determined that he was not going to be Speaker. I also give Jim Jordan credit for being gracious enough to put the party ahead of his own desires or ambitions in the country. To step aside. But I thought he was the only one that could not only pull us together. Remember, you're dealing with House Democrats, the Senate, the entire administration, and you have to have next year an election year a political apparatus to fight for us to keep the majority. So I thought that was incredibly disappointing. But there were some that were only getting dug in. I don't put this on Jim Jordan, but the attacks on them, the attacks on their families, the death threats, some people being stalked. caused some people to absolutely dig in.
I have so many questions. So one, why didn't they want Jim Jordan? What was the main complaint there? And two, who do you think looks like they're going to get it or has the best chance at this point?
Yeah, Rachel, I know you have a lot of questions. I don't promise that.
I'm just going to put you right on the spot.
Sometimes talking about what's going on overseas has a little more clarity.
You'd rather talk about Gaza than this.
But look, I mentioned the attacks on people that caused some people to dig in, and then others were very frustrated. Right now, Rachel, right now we're talking about personality. We're talking about hurt feelings. We're talking about who's mad at who. At least in January, we were talking about process and we were talking about policy that actually I think got us eventually to a better place. And I've told all of my colleagues, we got to get over it. As you say in the Army, get our head out of our rear end. We need a leader. I thought Jim Jordan was that leader. But now we're going to have a candidate forum. We have 5, 6, 7 people that have already decided they're running. I'm going to hear them all out. Because not only do they have to deal with this massive supplemental the White House just threw on us, $106 billion. We've got all our spending packages. You have the reauthorization of FISA. You have the Farm Bill, all coming before the end of this year. So we need to hear their strategy and their plan. And can I just say one thing on the supplemental? This, as somebody who's been in national security for decades, it is typical Washington, D.C. to just throw money at the problem. I need to hear from the administration, the president, which I did not hear in his speech. What's the goal? What does success look like? And what is his strategy that he's selling to the American people and to us to achieve it? And that's on Ukraine. I can't vote for any more aid until we hear that, number one. And then even on support to Israel as well, and the strategy there needs to be shutting down the money from Iran. Even if Israel is phenomenally successful in eradicating Hamas out of Gaza, as long as Iran can refill the void and give the next generation of fighters weapons, ammo, missiles, rockets, then this is never going to stop. So what's the goal? Where's the strategy?
Yeah, all important questions. I have one small request. When you go into that conference and you guys are deciding who, I'd like you to add this. Who's going to release all of the January 6th as speaker, January 6th videotapes? That would be an important question that I know a lot of your constituents and Republican constituents across the country care about, among the many other things.
Yeah, there will be a lot of questions, Rachel. And I have to say, for me, I would be hard-pressed not to support my fellow Floridian, Rep. Donalds.
I think he would be fantastic.
Well, listen, Congressman, thank you for joining us. Obviously, thank you for your service. You wore the uniform. You know what selflessness looks like. You've probably worked under some commanders that you didn't agree with. If you could bring any of that into the room full of egos, we'd truly appreciate it. That's why you're in there, brother. Thank you for joining us.
Good luck. It's middle school at this point.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Appreciate you.
Works.
All right. Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.